Higher Education Minister Nzimande has announced that he plans to place Unisa under administration after a report revealed financial and maladministration at the institution. Nzimande says a new administrator should be appointed. Now, for more on this, we are joined by Inga Khethwa, the NationalSRC Deputy Secretary General. DSG, thank you so much for joining us this evening. So, as the SRC of Unisa, what was your immediate reaction to the suggestion of the institution being placed under administration?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Greetings to you, Khethwa, and the viewers at home. Well, as the NationalSRC, our reaction, we're quite shocked that an entire minister and a PhD holder would reach to such a conclusion of resulting to conforming to a white establishment that is, trying by all means to attack black institutions. If our institutions are under siege and are being placed under administration, therefore, as a country, we've got nothing else left. Therefore, as the NationalSRC, we're quite intrigued, we're quite worried that Comrade Blade, a failed communist, would then resort, to put Unisa under administration. We believe that, there are other solutions. If you check in terms of the Higher Education Act of 1997, Section 49, which speaks about putting an institution under administration. It speaks about maladministration, financial problems. And we are of the view that, the minister has not considered that act in considering his decision. Therefore, we are of the view that, there are other possible ways to resolve the corrupt activities that have been taking place in the institution. Perhaps he should rethink his decision and reconsider and study the process so that he's able to come to a good conclusion, because it can't be correct that we conform to this white establishment. I mean, they've done it in UCT where they've removed a black vice chancellor. Now they're trying to come to Unisa, and as the NationalSRC, we want to put it on record that should Blade put Unisa on record under administration, we are going to wage a relentless war. We are going to make sure that we fight for sphere issues, because you will understand, in administration, when an institution is put under administration, it comes with a lot of problems, and Unisa is already having problems on its own. So if you give powers to one person, an administrator who's got no knowledge and institutional memory of Unisa, would be quite detrimental to the services of students.
Inga, you make mention of being under attack from a white establishment. In the interest of our viewers, who are you referring to?
Sorry?
In the interest of our viewers, you're making mention of the institution Unisa being under attack from a white establishment. Who are you referring to?
No, you would know that as a country and the economic conditions is being handled by a white minority. Therefore, they now are trying by all means to come and try and attack our institutions of higher learning. And that is the only vehicle and the only tool that as black people we are left with to be able to advance the struggle of black people. Therefore, white establishment does not necessarily have names, but it is an establishment that is coordinated to destroy the black nation. Therefore, we can't allow, the youngest chairperson of council who is black and the first female vice chancellor who is black to be part of those statistics been defeated. And therefore, we call upon civil society organizations, we call upon all political organizations, we call upon all progressive forces to unite and make sure that we protect the institution with all we have. That's why I always make a reference to say that we have a continuous moral obligation to defend our institutions of higher learning so that we're able to push the agenda of decolonizing our education system.
Now, Inga, NEHAU, which is the National Education, Health and Allied Workers Union, gave a statement on Wednesday saying that the VC had directly created instability at the institution with her high-handed management of the university, among other things. What's your take on that statement made by Nehao, given the fact that also Unisa's reserves were increased from 7 to 16 billion during the tenure of this VC, and the Unisa also being one of the top 10 universities in the country? How do we make those two statements make sense?
Yeah. No, thank you very much. In fact, it's quite a good question. And to answer your question is to say that, as SASCO, as the SRC as well, we understand the Student Worker Alliance. And therefore, in some of the things, we differ with the Vice-Chancellor. For example, when she expelled some of the progressive forces of Nehao, and we had made sure that we engaged the Vice-Chancellor to stop doing and purging our comrades within Nehao. And some of the things or some of the findings are yet to be tested in a court of law, and that's why the Council of the University has taken the assessor's report review so that those issues can be tested. I mean, in our country, you understand that everyone is presumed innocent up until proven guilty. Therefore, the assessor's report, even our former president and our chancellor at the institution, he concedes and says that we think we need to take the assessor's report and review because it is not solely based on the current things that are happening in Unisa. It's a halabaloo view, and we're of the view that, comrades of Nehao are quite correct, and we are in full support of comrades of Nehao, because it can be correct that, some of our comrades and black people are patching each other. So we have condemned some of the issues that, have been taking place in our institution, and we have condemned the VC's action, but what we cannot do is to allow the enemy to penetrate amongst black people.
In the report, in terms of the assessment of Unisa, one thing that stands out is that Unisa is losing its objective under Prof. Buleng. We know that Unisa has about 1/3 of the market share in terms of students in the country. And it says it's losing its objective in the sense that Unisa was established to be an institution for adults who are working to further their studies, but now it's opened its doors to young people who possibly couldn't have gotten into other institutions and are now people who are able to study through Unisa. What's your take on that change of objective?
Well, as you can see, I'm quite very young. Therefore, I'm advocating for that transition, and we will continue to advocate for that transition, because Unisa, like you said, that previously it used to cater for adults and stuff, but now you've got students who are longing for education or longing for day-to-day interactions with their academic activities, which include lecturers, professors, and Unisa is not changing, and we've engaged management, and we're trying to look with the Minister of Higher Education and members of Parliament to say that perhaps we should take them on a visit and see how students of Unisa are committed in making sure that they interact in the day-to-day academic activities. So we are trying to lobby all relevant forces across, the strategic places to say that Unisa is no longer a university that caters for all people, but it's a university that needs day-to-day interaction. And, now we've got the 2000s who come to Unisa on a daily basis, and they are quite shocked and intrigued, to find out there are no lecturers. And understanding the magnitude of Unisa, it caters for about over 350,000 students. So it's quite problematic that some of those students are unable to interact with lecturers based on that Unisa is an open distance learning. But the institution is trying by all means, to try and meet students halfway, where you interact with the lecturers via emails, and if you seek further clarity, you are able to go and visit that lecturer based on an appointment. But we're saying that we don't want that. We want day-to-day classes, we want day-to-day interactions with the lecturers, and we want Unisa to operate like a normal institution of higher learning, like your TUT, like your UP, so that we are able to cater for the students' needs that are at Unisa currently. because Unisa is no longer an old age home. You would find that, during the stats that you check, the age of students that are at Unisa, it's no longer students that are above the age of 35, but it's students that are from 18 up until the age of 35. So we're saying that we're lobbying, in fact, the minister, we are lobbying, in fact, members of parliament, we're lobbying management to try and at least adapt to the transition that has been happening and taking place in our institution.
I mean, you speak of so many issues that are faced by the students of Unisa, and we know that they are the main stakeholder of the institution. What effect will the students have with regards to the administration should it take place?
Students are going to suffer a lot. As you know that, I'm not sure whether you are aware that students' assignments have not been marked. Some assignment results have not been issued out. We've got issues with the ICT. When I speak about ICT, we've got technical issues that are at hand. Therefore, if you put an institution that is big as Unisa and you give it one person to manage it, and a person who does not have an institutional memory, therefore, it is doomed to fail, and it will be, going or taking another 10 further down. So therefore, we really don't think that, putting the institutional administration would assist us. And students are the ones, as the primary stakeholders, who are going to suffer because we are having problems. We can't bring another problems to a problem. Therefore, we must try and resolve and find other alternative solutions so that students are serviced to the best level that they can. As you will understand that the purpose of the institution, it solely exists for teaching and learning. And students, if they suffer and as the primary stakeholders are not serviced to that best of their ability and are not given the services that they need, because a certain puppet who's called Dr. Nzimande decides to put Unisa under administration, it's really going to be a problem for students. And it's quite shocking to hear the minister going out in public and his spokesperson, Unisa, when he says that the unit is going to be placed under administration. That means they've already taken a poster because the matter is sub judice. They must allow the court processes to unfold, then they are able to make a decision. But now it seems like there's this agenda that is purported by the white establishment to put Unisa under administration. And therefore we can't allow that as a generation. It would be morally wrong.
So Inga, in closing, if you were to put out a plea to the community of Unisa, what would you ask for in order to return Unisa back to its heydays?
Sorry?
In order for you to get back to the Unisa that it was, what plea would you put out to the entire community of Unisa in order for people to come together in making sure that Unisa is one of the best institutions in the country?
Thank you very much. As an institution of higher learning, we need to improve our services to students. We need to improve how we do things. We need to make sure that the financial stability of the institution is intact. We need to make sure that we offer the best qualifications. As you would know that Unisa, most of the lawyers in the country come from Unisa, and most of the teachers come from Unisa. Therefore, we've been making great strides as an institution of higher learning. But of course, there's a room for improvement where we need to get some other things right, and we will make sure that we assist the institution. If it means that we do a headhunting of world-renowned professors who will offer their services in our institution, we will engage the Vice-Chancellor and HR so that we get the best services and we offer the best education across the continent.
All right, Inga, thank you so much for your time and for your inputs this evening. That was Inga Khethwa, the National SRC Deputy Secretary General.